Would you believe me if I told you that the house behind me is not a single family home, but a condo? So I know what you're thinking. Condo, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Shared walls, HOA, that's what you think of when it comes to a traditional condo. Well, not necessarily. What differentiates a condo from a single home is actually very simple. Do you own the land or not? So, when it comes to a condo, you own what's called the airspace, otherwise known as the unit itself. Now, if you own a single family residential home, you also own the land that sits beneath the building as well as the airspace. That really is the only difference. But when it comes to how they actually are practiced and used, you obviously have quite a few differences as well. So now the question I'm sure that you have is, why is Seattle doing this? Why are we condoizing single family homes? Well, it's pretty simple. Seattle needs to increase density. So instead of going through the hassle of splitting parcels up, you can actually now build multiple units on one property. And so what's happening is HOAs are being created with multiple single family homes on one lot, and these HOAs technically own the land, and then the buildings are sold off and owned by new buyers. Now, how many homes can be built on one lot ultimately depends on a lot of different things, such as zoning, where you are in Seattle, etc. But something that we'll see often is a combination of one larger single family home that may have already been there, plus a dadu, which is kind of a smaller cottage style detached dwelling unit, which is like we are in today, alongside an additional dadu or potentially a lower level additional dwelling unit attached to that larger single family home. You can also do townhomes, which is very common, of course. But today we're going to be touring a dadu style single family home that is condoized. Now, if you want to learn a little bit more about dadus, I've linked a video above. I did a full breakdown on kind of why they are in Seattle, a little bit more about them, and how you can build or purchase one. So feel free to check that out. But without further ado, let's take a look at this development and inside this dadu. Okay, so now let's talk about what it's like to actually live in a condoized single family home versus something that is a traditional condo or a traditional single family home. So the first is your HOA. So when you look at a condoized single family, you're going to most likely have a very small HOA fee that covers primarily just the exterior maintenance and shared spaces with the other condos that live on this single family lot. Now, compare that to a single family home that might not have any HOA. You'll manage the exterior and the interior of your building. And then compare that to a condo where you're going to have probably a more robust HOA covering all of the building systems as well as the exterior maintenance. There are oftentimes special assessments and large maintenance fees associated with a condo. They also oftentimes cover your utilities. You're probably not going to have that with a condoized single family, although they are all a little bit different and it is up to the development. So that's kind of the key primary difference. Now, the second thing I wanted to mention is kind of what we touched about earlier, but the fact that you don't own the land beneath the single family home actually does influence price a little bit. So you will find that these condos are a little bit less expensive just because you only own the interior and not the value of the land. Now, keep in mind, a lot of price actually has to do with how buyers perceive the value of what they're buying. So, this is not a large, massive amount of change between something that you might own the land of, but there is a slight difference in price, and that can be nice for you should you want to buy something that feels like its own space, less maintenance, and less price. Those are kind of the main two things I wanted to mention. So, all in all, what do you think about these condoized single family homes? Comment down below your thoughts and follow along as I do videos about Seattle neighborhoods and real estate topics. Thank you so much for watching. My name is madysonarthur. I'll see you for the next one.